Is that a gimmick? Is that a gimmick? I mean, it probably is, but some books I've read, and some books in my library. I did want to recommend those Peter Levanda books, even though I don't personally recommend Peter Levanda. I think he's a little shady, but I also think he's exceptionally smart guy, both a occultist and a de-occultist, although I don't know that he's ever used either of those words himself. But that first Sinister Forces book, that is a very enlightening book about, its subtitle is A Grimoire of American Politics, and I think that's a really good subtitle because uh, uh, it shows the dark occult underpinnings of the American political system and the very, very strange uh, coincidences throughout our history that are probably more like uh, supernatural threads than coincidences. So that first Sinister Forces book by Peter Levanda, published by Trine Day Publishing, is a must read. I mean, if you're really interested in de-occulting the United States of America. The second book is worth reading also, and the third one is better than the second one, but the first one is I'm not going to say the only one you need to read, but it's very close to the only one you need to read. Like once you get that, you get it. The others is just more information. So there's that. I initially was going to make this video about Canada, and then when I was talking about Canada, I was thinking about something else, and then I started a digression on that, and then I was like, you know what, just make a whole video about that other thing. Who cares about Canada, right? I mean, uh, in short, this election that just took place in Canada that people are like, oh, it's great, the liberal ones are, oh no, the conservatives lost. It didn't matter. Didn't matter. Everybody who runs for office in Canada, they take a vow to the crown. Okay? I mean, that's one of the big secrets of our world, that the British Empire still holds great sway over what goes on with the royal family. Like I said, they're one of the 7 or maybe 8 cabals that battle to control the world. And maybe they're all bad, all these cabals. I would like to think, 1 or 2 of them might not be, or at least is more pragmatic, but whatever. But yeah, Canada is a Commonwealth nation. All Commonwealth nations have a political functionary from the crown inserted atop their nation. That person is called the Governor General. Nothing major takes place in any Commonwealth nation without the approval of the Governor General. And then the Governor General reports into the King, who reports into the crown back inside the British Empire. And that's the way it goes. So, that makes Canada, in my book, and I would suggest in yours, a second-rate nation, because they're not their own country. They have to answer to somebody else. So this thing between Mark Carney, who is a World Economic Forum and finance, what's the word I'm looking for? Functionary, globalist. He won. He's terrible. But the guy against him, Pierre Poulouze, or whatever his name was, I don't respect him, so I really have never wanted to figure out how to mention his name because he's terrible, a horrible person. I mean, just like, it's whatever. He's a puppet. He's a pawn. So he lost. Who cares? All right? It doesn't matter. Canada's the enemy because they're an anti-life country. That's it. Like I said in one of the earlier ones, the anti-life people should be the enemy of the life people. And, Canada, their number 2 cause of death last year was assisted suicide. And they literally have social workers recommending to people to commit suicide. Even if they're just like depressed. Are you depressed? Well, you might want to commit suicide. It was my understanding, actually, on YouTube, you can't say suicide or whatever. It demonetizes you, which is because YouTube is bad, anti-life themselves, frankly. So, as of Trump, America, we could put 1,000% tariffs on Canada and destroy them as a nation and then take them on as a 51st state. And I'd be okay with that. Canada's the enemy. Not the Canadian people. They don't know what's going on. Their media stinks. It's much worse than ours. And they got a chip on their shoulder about America to begin with. They always have. And that, you know, might well be why they elected Carney instead of Pierre Poilievre, whatever that guy's name was. Simply out of spite, because they hate Trump, or they're afraid of Trump. Trump-phobic. They're Trump-phobic. Why don't we, maybe that's a word that should be used, because they're constantly throwing out homophobic and transphobic when none of us are really afraid of gay people anymore. And we're not afraid of trans people. I mean, Islamophobic gets thrown out, and maybe you do have some people who are afraid of Muslims and the Islam faith. But nobody's afraid of gay people. People do seem to be afraid of Trump, so Trump-phobic might be a viable term to define the Canadians' self-destructive vote this week. So it's war with Canada as far as I'm concerned. It's economic war at the minute, and I think we've got all the cards on our side. I just say let's just crush Canada. Sorry, my fellow Canadians, friends, because I do have friends in Canada. But while I was doing this in one of the earlier videos that I've now spiked, I realized that since it's Beltane and all, that might be worth telling this story about this exorcist that I spoke with, I guess maybe a month or so ago now. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get comfortable on this chair. This exorcist who read one of my written pieces commented on it. He might have removed the comment now, I'm not sure, but it might still be there. And I said, oh, wow, I'd really like to talk to you. And then, lo and behold, he sent me an email, and we ended up talking. We had like 2 45-minute conversations on Zoom that he told me I could not record. And he also told me that he didn't want me to write about it, but he didn't say anything about not being able to discuss it, which is probably nitpicking since I didn't have a podcast at the time. But I do feel this is fairly good and helpful information to bring to everybody, and so here it is. First off, I don't know if this guy was really an exorcist or not. He said that he was, and then he said that he wasn't a Catholic exorcist. He was an exorcist who believes in Jesus Christ and helped to expel a demon while he was younger from someone that he knew. I won't go into more detail than that, even though he did. And he said then after that, he became an exorcist. And he said that there were like 3 like really big truths that everybody should know, and that the third truth was so dangerous that he told me it would get him and me both killed. So I didn't get the third one. I only got the first 2. And they were both kind of things I already knew, but it was good to have them reinforced. And so now I bring them to you. The first one is this material realm that we currently exist in is not what we're told it is. He wouldn't tell me what it is, but he did say that this material world is not what we're told it is, which I think is true. I figured that out a while ago, and other people have said it beforehand, but it was good to get the reinforcement. So there's that. The second thing is fear is the key to humanity's defeat. Do not be afraid. Do not fear the dark forces in this material world. Now, personally, I don't fear them, but I do respect them. I mean, I think he didn't say that part, but I do think you need to be aware that they're here, and they are deserving of a modicum of supernatural respect, because they're more powerful than us in a way they are. And then he wouldn't tell me the third. He said, if he told me the third, we'd both be dead within 2 weeks. I think I said that already. So I would think those would both be two very, very important insights for you to take with you on Beltane. One, this material place is not what we're told it is. And two, be not afraid. The Bible says that over and over again. Be not afraid. And particularly Jesus says, be not afraid of the man who can kill your body, but instead the forces that can take your body and soul. I mean, that's the deal. All right. That's what you got to be worried about. We're all going to die. Everybody's going to die. There's nobody who hasn't died, right? Even Jesus came back to death, but he came back from the death, but he was dead. Everybody dies, unless Saint Germain is real. And in which case, because I've been hearing about Saint Germain literally since I lived in Paris. Saint Germain, if you're out there, I'd love to talk to you. I mean, really, I won't even, I can't promise I won't tell anybody else. If you tell me I can't tell anybody else, then I guess I will honor that. I don't think you're out there anyway. But if you are, let me know. That would certainly rock my world, Saint Germain. And if you're a vampire, I don't want to be a vampire. Don't want to be a vampire. Like the guy, well, I'm sorry, I don't want to give away the end of Sinners. Sorry. But in one of their additional endings, that movie's got too many endings. Like one of the additional endings, there's an interesting thing about vampires and eternal life / death. So, yeah, boy, how did I get down that one? Gosh, what point was I even trying to make? Hopefully you remember it and it sticks with you. So, that's it. Be not afraid. Oh, that's what it was. Be not afraid. Be not afraid. This whole thing is a performance / theater / entertainment for other beings or something. And nobody gets out alive, but some people get out with their soul. The object's to get out with your soul. So be not afraid. 13,